Spiel 4. Und die Spurs waren festgewillt, den Sweep zu schaffen. Allen voran Tim Duncan mit 33 Punkten, wie gewohnt treffsicherster Spieler seines Teams. Einziger, der auf Seiten der Lakers voll dagegen hielt, Shaquille O'Neal, 36 Punkte und 14 Rebounds für ihn. San Antonio dominierte mit Tim Duncan, David Robinson und Malik Rose unter den Körben. Was Shaq fast zur Weißglut brachte. Dennoch, er hatte sich am wenigsten vorzuwerfen. Von Glenn Rice und Kobe Bryant kam über die ganze Serie hinweg einfach viel zu wenig. Einziger Lichtblick neben Shaq in Spiel 4 war Rick Fox mit 17 Punkten. Hier mit schönem Durchstecker auf Shaq. Auch Tyrone Lue machte für seine Verhältnisse ein gutes Spiel, 12 Zähler für ihn. Viel zu wenig, um die Spurs ernsthaft gefährden zu können. Zweitbester Werfer bei San Antonio war Jaren Jackson mit 20 Punkten. 118:107 der Endstand für die Spurs. Die Lakers sind raus.
Western Conference Halbfinale Portland gegen Utah, Spiel 4. Anspannung, Emotionen und Körperkontakt pur. Der zweimalige Finalist aus Salt Lake City lag vor dieser Partie mit 1:2 nach Siegen zurück. In Portland folgte Pleite Nummer 3. Utah verlor 75:81 und liegt jetzt mit 1:3 nach Siegen gegen die Trailblazers zurück. Portland setzte mal wieder 9 Leute ein, die Bank war erneut stark. Brian Grant machte zwar nur 7, Topscorer für die Gastgeber Isaiah Ryder mit 24 Punkten. Karl Malone und Brian Russell mit jeweils 17 Punkten die erfolgreichsten Punktesammler für die Jazz. Insgesamt ein mittelmäßiges Spiel mit spannender Schlussphase. Die Entscheidung in der Schlussminute, Offensivfoul von John Stockton, kurz vor Spielende. Isaiah Ryder legte 2 drauf, 4 Punkte Vorsprung für die Gastgeber. Dann verkürzte Utah auf 3 und hatte die letzte Chance. Einwurf, Ballverlust Jazz. Portland führt mit 3:1 nach Siegen, Spiel 5 in der kommenden Nacht und morgen bei uns zu sehen.
Das Ganze noch einmal im Überblick. Die San Antonio Spurs sweepen die Lakers weg. Die Utah Jazz liegen gegen Portland mit 1:3 zurück und müssen heute Nacht Spiel 5 unbedingt gewinnen.
In der Eastern Conference ist in Sachen Halbfinals alles entschieden. New York gewinnt mit 4:0 gegen Atlanta und Indiana besiegt Philadelphia ebenfalls 4:0.
Mike Dunleavy wurde zum Coach des Jahres gewählt. Der Trainer der Portland Trail Blazers errang in einer Abstimmung unter Journalisten 48 von 118 möglichen Stimmen.
Chuck Daly, Headcoach der Orlando Magic, hat seinen Rücktritt erklärt. Gründe: persönliche Enttäuschung über das Playoff-Go gegen Philadelphia und Missstimmung mit Orlandos Penny Hardaway.
Lake City, Karl Malone, he thought so. 11 points in the first quarter, later in the first, off the Portland miss. Malone goes over Brian Grant for the rebound. His elbow hits Grant in the eye. Some felt intentional. Draws blood. Grant would go out with 6 stitches. He would return later in the game. A tip between those two would lead to an ejection of Portland coach Mike Dunleavy. Second quarter, Blazers hanging around. Rasheed Wallace, the big slam. That cut Utah's lead to 7 at the half. Third quarter, though, Utah just too strong off the Wallace miss. Here come the Jazz. Jeff Hornacek ahead to Malone for the jam. 23 points, 8 rebounds. The Jazz stave it off by winning by 16, but they trail in the series still 3-2. Game 6 is Thursday in Portland.
And picked up a citizenship award while his series nemesis, Karl Malone, looked on. Jazz hitting all the right notes in the opening half. John Stockton with a nice layup there. Then Stockton intercepts the pass. Up ahead to Byron Russell for the slam. Jazz on a 13-0 run. But here come the Blazers. Arvydas Sabonis, the drive underneath, hitting the reverse layup, and then with the shot clock winding down, Sabonis nails the 3. The big Lithuanian with 14 points of the night. In the second half, Portland still hot. Damon Stoudemire down the lane, hits the layup and draws the foul. Rasheed Wallace, 2 with authority on the baseline. And then Malone takes an eye off Grant. Grant with 7 points, 12 rebounds. As a dejected Utah team goes home, Portland heads to the Western Conference Finals, looking to make doubters believers.
We just proved that we can do it, man. I mean, this ain't a fluke. This year isn't a fluke for the Blazers. We came out here, a lot of people doubted us, a lot of people didn't think we could do it.
I didn't have a good game at all. Probably one of the worst I've ever played, and probably the toughest one I've played for is how big the game was.
I just said earlier, you know, the championships are what you can brag about. we have nothing to brag about.
A lot of times when you play like crap and lose a tough game, you see a lot of things that you regret. So this one time, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit back and wait for a while and see what happens. But nothing guaranteed, so I'm just going to see.
Next, for the right to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. That best of series starts on Sunday.
Discipline was a problem for Portland. Rasheed Wallace and coach Mike Dunleavy going at it. Rasheed would respond on the court, gets the pass, and soars in for a thunderous dunk. Blazers hung in tough and were down by 1 at the half. In the third quarter, the Spurs would open up a 7-point lead. Avery Johnson hits the tough layup over Arvydas Sabonis and draws the foul. Later on, it's the Twin Towers working together. David Robinson to Tim Duncan, and Duncan scores inside. But Wallace would keep the Blazers in it. After a Robinson airball, Damon Stoudemire finds Rasheed for the big slam. He had a career playoff high 28 points. San Antonio, though, would prevail. Robinson gets the dunk inside. He and Duncan combined for 42 points and 23 rebounds. The Spurs take a 1-0 lead in this series.
They have it 23 times in the postseason, and Indiana has a 1-win edge. But it's barely an edge. Look at these numbers. The Pacers averaging 1 more point per game on average.
Patrick, the team lumber around. He kick it back out to it for a jump shot, and if they make it, if not, that's how they play. Now they're a faster team, a team that likes to get in transition, a team that has more options with Speedwell, Canby, Houston, and a couple other guys. So we're going to be ready, and it's going to be a big challenge for us.
We've always taken pride in being able to play under adverse, situations when nobody believes in us. You're playing on the road. Now, we're playing the so-called future champs. So, this is everything that we'll get going into right now. We welcome.
For an 8th seed, the first to make it to a conference final. All time, New York has the 3rd worst winning percentage for a team getting there. For
Allen Houston, as we saw in the last series, he's more effective going to the basket, off the dribble, getting his shot, and he's got to do that, kind of wear Reggie Miller out on defense, make him work defensively. His dad told him, you got to get your legs under on your jump shot. Reggie Miller, you're going to see a lot of this. He is so quick with that release. And what the Pacers do for him, they set a lot of picks. Check this out. Rick Smith, first pick. Reggie Miller goes off the first pick. Look at the defensive player trailing him. Rick Smith goes back again, sets the pick again, and look at the quick release. Reggie Miller, he's got those guns smoking. They're going to have to be on top of him. They've got to give Allen Houston some help on offense when he's coming off of those picks.
Well, look at this. Reggie Miller has really turned it up in playoff games. Among players who played in at least 50 in his career, Reggie Miller boasting the largest
size matchup for the Knicks. Sam Perkins, you can't give him the 3-point shot from the outside. And Derek McKee, you don't see him in this video here, but he is a player that plays tough defense. Look to see him on Marcus Camby a lot.
Perimeter jump shot, he's 7'4". He can get his shot off against anybody, and that's going to be a problem for the Knicks, especially if you match up Patrick Ewing against him, who's still hobbling with bad knees and a bad Achilles.
Between the Blazers and Spurs in Game 1 of their series, San Antonio holding on to win 80-76. So look at the point guard situation now. It's which team won the battle there?
Well, I would give it to Avery Johnson because he hit big shots at the end of the game. Damon Stoudemire, he has been struggling. There you see him forcing that shot, and you watch him making some bad decisions, which is not likely. He's got 3 men back on defense. You don't make the kind of play that he made, forcing the ball to the basket. Maybe it's because he's struggling offensively. But the person that's come off the bench and done a great job for him defensively, Greg Anthony, yesterday he was all over the place. But Avery Johnson, he's done a great job for the Spurs, hitting big shots. San Antonio Spurs, they had Greg Anthony, he came off the bench and did a great job defensively for the Portland Trail Blazers all over the place, finding everybody open, shooting his jump shot, and hitting some big shots down the stretch. But you have to give it to the San Antonio Spurs. They were on the break. They were doing everything that they needed to do. But Jaren Jackson, he is a player that gave them big minutes off the bench in the last series, hitting some big three-point shots. Yesterday, he was not there. Tim Duncan, is that the Wake Forest uniform? Rasheed Wallace, North Carolina? They must know each other, and they do. Yesterday, you see Rasheed Wallace turning around all day long, shooting that quick turnaround jump shot in Tim Duncan's face, catching him off guard defensively. Tim Duncan had no answer for Wallace yesterday, and this monster slam dunk, he was all over the place offensively, and they've got to find a way to help him going as this series progresses.
Strategies to stop San Antonio's front court combination of David Robinson and Tim Duncan give Portland credit for the success of the combinations and give the Trailblazers what so many other teams have gotten, a nice try.
It's nice, this series after having to deal with Shaq last series, be freed up a little bit to add a little offense to the mix.
They want to use all the skills, and especially David was going well also inside. So, they were playing an inside-out game. Duncan is a great passer from up top also, so they know he can put the ball on the floor. And again, once he started to get his rhythm, that's when they put him in different spots on the court.
Much of his spotlight to Duncan this season, the Trailblazers are a team that allows Robinson to shine too. The job he's done on Portland center Arvydas Sabonis has dictated how San Antonio fares against the Trailblazers. In the Spurs' one regular season loss to Portland, Sabonis scored 28. In San Antonio's 3 regular season victories, he averaged 14 and on
15 boards in the second half compared to just 17 and 10 for Grant Wallace and Sabonis.
Has become a marquee player on one of the league's marquee teams. Latrell Sprewell's battles with the league are well documented. His 1-year suspension for attacking P.J. Carlesimo. His failed civil suit against the league challenging that suspension. Now he's helped propel the surprising Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals. But regardless of his progress on the court, Sprewell is aware that in many circles, he will always be thought of as the player who choked his coach.
I think I'm going to always have that lingering, but I think people tend to forgive and forget, especially if you learn from mistakes and you move on.
Whether he's learned from his mistakes may be up for debate. Sprewell has been unhappy with his 6th man role throughout the season. The Knicks fined him $25,000 when his agent publicly criticized head coach Jeff Van Gundy for misusing Sprewell. He has thrived coming off the bench, but has he really accepted the coach's decision?
I think I've just accepted it, more or less. I guess I am more used to it now.
It doesn't matter about acceptance. It's working. That's all that matters. Results is all that matters.
The results have been stunning. Sprewell's dynamic up-tempo style has given the Knicks a new dimension, especially in the playoffs. Sprewell led New York in scoring at 19 points per game through the first 2 rounds. His relentless energy on the fast break has had a profound effect on this team.
I think he's the best open court player in the league by far. And when you get a guy like him who brings a lot of energy coming off the bench running, it's sort of like contagious. You want to get out there and run with him.
I think now he's learned that he can still be himself and still learn, to pass the ball and continue to make. And he's starting to make everybody better as this thing goes on.
I think it's almost miraculous what he's been able to do coming back off a year off. Short season, injury, new team, and trying to sort of reshape his image at the same time. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that.
As long as I continue to play well and in the future not have any mistakes like I did in the past, I think it'll all be behind me at some point.
Sprewell, and more importantly, the rest of the Knicks, have not been fazed by the soap opera.
He has become an offensive machine on the break. He's best slashing to the basket, doing what he does best, drawing the foul. And he has given the Knicks a lift that they've needed. And he can pull up and shoot the jump shot also. We see him going to the basket a lot, which is when he's moving.
Our
Our Federal Express delivery of the week comes from Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals. Shandon Anderson cuts through the lane, shakes the double team. Karl Malone over the shoulder to a wide-open Anderson for the jam. Take another look. Malone over the shoulder to Anderson for the slam, and our Federal Express delivery of the week.
This is NBA basketball at its best.
Bounce pass for Reed. Slams it home.
Jason with a long pass up the floor. Oh, what a pass! Gosh.
Nur noch 4, unter anderem Portland und San Antonio. Dazu News und alles, was ihr braucht, um nicht im Nebel zu stehen. Coming up in Inside NBA.
Persönlichen Playoff-Rekord aufstellte und nachdem Greg Popovich seine Jungs so anfeuerte, letztendlich David Robinson und Tim Duncan auf 21 Zähler kamen. Letztendlich das Ergebnis 80:6.
Scheinen großes Interesse an einer Verpflichtung von Phil Jackson zu haben. Erst vergangene Woche wurde bekannt, dass auch New Yorks Präsident Jackets mit Jackson Gespräche über eine Tätigkeit bei den Knicks führte. Eine bekannte Tageszeitung aus Los Angeles geht fest davon aus, dass Kurt Rambis auch im nächsten Jahr Headcoach bei den Lakers sein wird. Ein offizielles Statement ließen sich die Lakers bisher allerdings nicht entlocken. Auch um Glenn Rice kocht die Gerüchteküche. Angeblich ist Pat Riley festgewillt, Rice zurück nach Miami zu holen. Im Gegenzug könnte PJ Brown zu den Lakers wechseln. Mit 113 von 118 möglichen Stimmen wurde Vince Carter zum Rookie des Jahres gewählt. Nur Shaquille O'Neal und Tim Duncan gelang es in diesem Jahrzehnt, noch mehr Stimmen bei der Wahl zum Rookie des Jahres auf sich zu vereinigen.
Der Expansionsdank gegen die Grizzlies auf 10.
To the basket! Oh, wow! Oh, my! Vince Carter is a highlight film. You see him take off right there. Exceptional leaping ability.
Der Flieg nach Holland Dank auf 9.
Oh, no! Off the side of his head, through the bucket. That's a new one, John. We haven't seen that one yet.
Die armen Indianer schon wieder überflügelt auf 8.
Reverses it. Oh, my goodness. John, let's keep track of this right now. That was a big-time move by Vince Carter.
Gegen die Nets mit Rückwärts-Alley-oop.
Vince Carter, the reverse jam on the alley-oop.
How about this one? A reverse, a 10 by all judges.
Zauberhaft gegen die Wizards auf 6.
Baseline. Oh, you've got to be kidding. Oh, Rod. There he is. No business making that shot. Somebody stop me.
Als hätten es die Celtics nicht schwer genug auf 5.
Oh, yeah.
Arme aus Gummi gegen Orlando.
Pick up your lingerie. It's on the floor. Wow.
Auch gegen Cleveland dreht sich's um Vince.
Ahead of the back, showtime.
Der Not in my house Dank auf 2.
Carter elevates and throws it down. My goodness. I don't know what to say. Looks like he's trying to get higher every time he does it. That was unbelievable.
Pump Reverse Jam gegen die Pacers auf 1.
Baseline left reverse swing and two-handed jam. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Vince Carter put on a show right in front of us.
Reached the finals yet. With a win later today, the Spurs can pull off a second straight series sweep. In this case, dusting off the Blazers for defensive neighborhood.
Having gracefully yielded much of his offense to Tim Duncan this season, Robinson has shown shades of his '94 MVP self against Portland, with 7 blocked shots in Game 3 alone, and a smothering post defense that forced Portland into shooting just 25% from the field.
Guys were getting beat, and Dave was there to help every time. I remember JR beat me a couple times, and Dave was on the spot, you know, and remember, I never seen Dave call Arvidas jump hook before. I mean, the guy's 7'3", Dave went out and got that, and Dave was just doing a great job patrolling the lane.
I've always been about team. I've always talked about the team, and I love when we play together, and you know, and that's what's happening right now. We got a team that trusts one another, and to me, this is what's really fun about basketball.
Of course, Big Dave gonna play some great D. Blocked my shot twice yesterday, and he saved the bucket on one of them, and that's the Admiral, you know what I mean?
For all the success Portland has had in using a 10-man rotation this season, their bench was outscored 35-18 in Game 3 by the Spurs. And aside from the foul-plagued Rasheed Wallace, the Blazers seemed, for all their depth, to lack a real leader on the floor. J.R. Ryder, the leading scorer in the regular season, has averaged less than 8 points in the 3 games of the series.
I'm a rhythm player just like a lot of players. I like it in the post. They're going to double team, so I have to make the pass. So that means that takes that part of my game away. Unless I make a great move, which I have every once in a while.
I'm going to tell you the funny thing about the go-to guys that all the time people talk about this is a team game, a team sport, but then now we're a complete team, and now everybody wants to say that we need one individual to carry the team.
I don't think you have anybody, any team that would say that you wouldn't want to have a dominant player at a position. Nobody's going to turn one down. But if you don't have one, you just can't manufacture. You can't anoint somebody to be the ultimate go-to guy, and then have a guy you throw him to the wolves.
The Spurs defense in this season both have made 9 playoff appearances in the 90s without reaching the finals. But San Antonio can quench its thirst this afternoon and snap the streak. Mario Ellie, you think they did a good job moving the ball. Steve Kerr getting his first 3-pointer of the series. That's a big confidence builder for him. But Mario Ellie did a good job of driving to the basket, finding the open man, drawing the interior defense, and not settling on that offense, that jumper from the outside, getting the high percentage shot with the big guys inside. That's what he did. That was very good for them. Avery Johnson, the little general, running the show, showing a lot of patience, running the offense like it should be running, and reposting David Robinson here, making sure that everybody was doing their job. And this play epitomizes what Game 3 looked like. David Robinson blocking the shot, and Avery Johnson leading the break, and Tim Duncan finishing with the monster slam. Well, speaking of Tim Duncan, Game 3, he scored just 5 games. This time he was there for the Spurs, taking the pressure off the big guys inside, spotting up, hitting that jump shot from the 3-pointer, and then not worrying about waiting for David Robinson to find him. He goes to the spot, making it easy for him, finding that open jump shot. You don't leave Jaren Jackson open when he's hot like that, hitting that 3-pointer. Somebody's got to get out on him and guard him. You don't leave him wide open. Mike Dunleavy's got to find an answer. Ryan Grant, Damon Stoudemire through each round, and it is noticeably each step of the way. And it affects
the rest of your game, even missing little easy layups. And it also affects your decision-making. On defense, Damon Stoudemire making a bad defensive decision here, going behind the pick when he should go over the top, forcing his defensive man, Rasheed Wallace, to commit to Avery Johnson, leaving Sean Elliott open, who we know will hit that three-pointer, and did. Brian Grant probably showing some frustration here also. 3 men inside. You can't force the ball inside defensively. Defensively, the Spurs are there. And then having to contend with 3 7-footers being outside. I think he's showing a little wear. Rasheed Wallace at the end of the game, showing his frustration, going into the locker room after fouling out. Bob, you don't do this. You demoralize the rest of your teammates. What are they thinking about when he leaves them outside?
Our Federal Express delivery of the week is a double dip from Game 2 of the Spurs and Blazers. Watch first as Arvydas Sabonis delivers the little flip pass to Isaiah Rider for the lay-in. But it was Sean Elliott who delivered the final blow when he somehow stays in bounds and drills the three-pointer that won the game for the Spurs and gives us our Federal Express delivery of the week.
Liga der Welt. Karl Malone zum zweiten Mal MVP der Regular Season. Mit knappem Vorsprung vor Alonzo Mourning und Tim Duncan wurde der Mailman zum besten Spieler der verkürzten Saison 99 gewählt. Glückwünsche nach Salt Lake City. Doc Rivers, Ex-NBA-Profi und derzeit Kommentator noch bei TNT, ist neuer Headcoach der Orlando Magic.
This is what I want to be. This is what I want to do. And who cares about the risk? Look at your reward if things pay off.
Ein anderer ist seinen Trainerjob los. Die Cleveland Cavaliers feuerten Mike Fratello wegen Erfolglosigkeit. Schade, eine weitere Persönlichkeit, die
9, 8, 7, 6.
Katino Mobley from way downtown.
He'll throw it up there, and Katino Mobley from half court. He loves it.
Paul Pierce mit Big Time Finger Roll.
Oh, my! Classic move up and over the defense.
Keon Clark mit Authority.
Oh, man! Are you kidding me? Keon Clark, you better check the screws on the rim. That was crazy stuff.
Jason Williams, wie man ihn kennt.
How does he do it? How does he do it? How did he see him there?
Vince Carter 360 auf 6.
Ahead of the pack, showtime! Oh, no! A 360 with one hand!
Und wieder Jason Williams.
Williams crosses over, loses Gary, drives into the lane, hurts the high without the window, up and in. What a move by Jason Williams.
Und wieder Carter, not in my house.
Carter elevates and throws it down. My goodness. I don't know what to say. It looks like he's trying to get higher every time he does it. That was unbelievable.
Vince Pump Dunk auch auf 3.
Baseline left, reverse swing and two-handed jam. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me?
Jason Williams die dritte.
Oh, baby. Behind the back, and they delivered. I love it here. That's a great play by the kid. Now I'm dazzled. Now you're dazzled. Holy mackerel.
Die Nummer 1, Überraschung, Ricky Davis.
Konferencji Ligi NBA Indiana Pacers pokonali w Nowym Jorku Knicks 90-78 i po 4 meczach jest remis 2-2. Piąty mecz odbędzie się w Indianie. Najskuteczniejsi w Madison Square Garden byli Rose 19 punktów i Kemby 18 punktów.
Koszykarze New York Knicks będą rywalami graczy San Antonio Spurs w finale Ligi NBA. W 6. meczu o Mistrzostwo Konferencji Wschodniej pokonali w Nowym Jorku Indiana Pacers 90-82, kończąc rywalizację play-off zwycięstwem 4-2. Królem Madison Square Garden okazał się Alan Houston, zdobywając dla Nowojorczyków 32 punkty.
As they showed during the regular season, they are a different and sometimes better team without Patrick Ewing on the floor. This will be the Knicks' first appearance in the finals since 1994. And what a great job Jeff Van Gundy, the new additions, Latrell Sprewell, and Marcus Camby has done. We will talk about that. One thing no one's quite sure about yet, though, which group of Knicks will be out there on the floor when the series begins in San Antonio Wednesday night. Larry Johnson suffered a sprained right knee in the second quarter of Game 6 against Indiana. The doctor called it a grade 2 sprain. Dave Checketts called it a grade 1. We got to wonder about that. In the NBA and TV trying to maximize its rating opportunities, the Spurs will have had 10 days off by the time Wednesday night rolls around. Only two other teams, the Lakers in 82 and
an underdog and a wounded one at that, playing without Patrick Ewing and at least with a hobbled Larry Johnson. The Knicks are not getting a lot of sympathy here in San Antonio.
It's really not that surprising. Whenever you have guys that go down, sometimes your team just gets more focused. They're like you hate to say it, like they're like a cornered animal, but it makes you a little nervous.
They're really together. They've been playing great as a team. They're running the ball well.
They're defending well, and they're just finding ways to get it done. Everybody's talking about who's not there and who's not there, and the people there are who's getting it done.
The focus can't be any less. I mean, they're playing extremely well. They're in the NBA Finals. I mean, they are a solid basketball team. So it's going to be a battle. You get out there. They're a very scrappy team. It's going to be good.
My team don't need me to score. They need me to go out there, try to, play Allen and Spree the best I can. Knicks need them two to score.
With Spreewell and Houston, those guys, and Canby, those the running game. Once they come in, they start running, and we have to stay in shape. I think that's why Pop is really focusing on some of the transition drills that we've been doing in practice. But when they get that running game, I think that's the strongest point of that game.
The Spurs are rested, they're healthy, they have home court advantage, and they can finally begin playing in their first ever NBA Finals on Wednesday. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll profile the heart and soul of this Spurs team, Mario Elie and Avery Johnson.
That's the Latrell Sprewell, throwbacks to the 80s teams. The Knicks have players that can create their offense off of the dribble. Allen Houston here shooting the jump shot, but if he sets a jump shot up, he can drive to the basket. He watched the film like Latrell Sprewell. They both shoot the jump shot. They watch the film. They're better when they're driving to the basket, creating fouls, creating open shots, and going to the line. And Latrell Sprewell, a phenomenal open court player, very quick, very fast. When he gets the ball in the open court, he is somebody that the Spurs will have to worry about in contending. They play defense. And here, David Robinson shooting the jump shot. With the Pacers, they had the slow big men. They didn't get back on defense, but it's going to be a different story with David Robinson, Tim Duncan. They both run on the defense. And if you get by Mario Elie, Sprewell, and Houston, look at these two big guys. That's your second line of defense. And David Robinson, Tim Duncan, two of the best shot blockers in the league. And on offense, David Robinson, a great outside shooter, as well as Tim Duncan. And Tim Duncan inside got some of the best low post moves here, going in the face of Grant.
All the way through the playoffs for the Knicks. And definitely when he's been on the floor, such a positive influence, not just in rebounding and blocked shots, but in scoring. Reminiscent in Game 6 against the Pacers, he streaks in, elastic and electric, and he is.
Well, I call him Mr. Fluid because he is just so active on the floor. Look at this, 4 Indiana Pacers. Nobody puts a body on him. He gave Larry Bird coaching unity to get his game going. Spurs very patient on offense. Getting Steve Kerr the wide-open jump shot, they need to have him in this series. And Popovich has to get the credit for getting him ready. But the guy who will throw daggers at you all day long is Jaren Jackson. We talked about you can't leave this man wide open because he knows how to find the open spot. And when he finds it, he takes that jump shot. They're used to contend with Chris Jackson. Didn't really get his offensive game going. Was kind of off-key, out of sorts. But on the other hand, Chris Childs, he comes in, he gives them a different look, up-tempos the pace, and is able to find the open man on the break. Does a good job of running the offense. And if you leave him wide open, he can knock home that wide open jump shot, and he hit a lot of big shots in it.
One never started a game for his high school varsity team.
Robinson gives it up to Elie for the win!
The other is the only active player in the NBA taken in the 7th round of the draft. But together you could call Mario Elie and Avery Johnson the ultimate overachieving underdogs. They call each other the heart and soul of the Spurs.
I never had a chemistry with a guy like I do with Avery because me and AJ were dedicated every day,
From others in the league, and still remember the half-empty arenas in all the Albanys and Youngstowns. But if Elie in particular claims a 3rd title, Johnson fears that another city in Texas will be calling. And soul on this team seem inseparable. In San Antonio, I'm Tom Rinaldi.
More than that, he's a tough defender, and he's got some offense also here, shooting the little floater. He'll look for a lot of that, but he's got a great jump shot also. On the other side, Avery Johnson. In the past, the playoff teams would say, leave him open, make him take that jump shot on the double team. Ask the Trailblazers. You can't do that anymore because
Our Federal Express delivery of the week is from Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Allen Houston takes both defenders with him behind the back to Kurt Thomas for the open baseline jumper. Watch Jalen Rose fight over the pick, leaving Kurt Thomas wide open. Houston goes behind the back, Thomas the easy jumper, and our Federal Express delivery of the week.
To a team right away because I have been in school 4 years and I do have a completely refined game. So, you know, everyone knows I can shoot, I can help a team in that area, and that's something that's really needed in the NBA right now, and a lot of teams are in need of shooters.
And I think I bring to the NBA, you know, a tenacious rebounder, you know, a fighter, you know, defensively, you know, I feel I could, you know, contend with anyone. So, you know, that's what they get when they get Elton Brand.
Obviously, I spoke to Coach Butch Carter for the Raptors, and he categorically denied that Tracy McGrady is on the market. But remember, Bob, this is the off-season for these guys. A lot of poker is being played during this time of year.
Absolutely.
Obviously, he wants to exercise his option. He wants to see who out there is actually interested in him. From the people that I spoke to, several teams are interested in him, including the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, they denied that as well. The Los Angeles Lakers, obviously, he's considering that this is where he wants to be all along, but what he really wants more than anything, Bob, is to make sure that he has... Your viewing habits. Game 1 of the NBA Finals tips off Wednesday night in San Antonio, followed by Game 2 there Friday. Then the series moves to New York for Games 3, 4, and if necessary, Game 5, Monday, Wednesday, and the following Friday. Yes, the Finals, as you may know, reverts back to a 2-3-2 format. All the games can be seen on NBC.